The Ford Mondeo in different versions. This is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars for you, especially here in the rain today. We got the Ford Mondeo Vignale as a Turnier, we say in Germany, so the estate version. And we got the new all-wheel drive version, and that one here is obviously, as you see, the sedan. Not the very classic sedan, it's kind of the evolved sedan where the whole hatch is opening in the rear. We're going to take a difference between the Vignale and the non-Vignale, the normal Mondeo, and we're going to drive the all-wheel drive version and also take a look at the differences between the estate version and the normal sedan. I want you guys to pay attention to the front we have here. This is the titanium equipment, so already a higher trim level, and so we have this chrome front grille. I think it really looks beautiful here in the rain now with all the raindrops on it. I really like the new front of the Mondeo, and I think it's a very beautiful car, although for Europe it came a little bit too late. About the prices actually, well, there is definitely a wide range, and it starts at about 26,000 euros for a basic sedan, and then you pay 1,500 euros extra for a estate version. And then the Vignale version at the other side of me, this one is then about 41,000 euros and then top of the range. And there we can already see the difference in the front grille. We got this kind of comp front grille here with a very special Vignale structure, so it is more unique. And well, I think it does look special, definitely different than the others, but what do you think? I more prefer the chrome fin grille, or what's your opinion on that one? In the side profile of this 4.86 m long car, well, it looks a little bit bulky from the wheels at the moment, just 16-inch at the winter tires. It looks better, of course, with bigger alloys. You can see it at the Vignale version. This one has 18-inch, also winter tires, but that one already looks better. I would probably go for 19, I think, because then not lose too much comfort, but still have a great look. I usually prefer the sedan version because we have this kind of coupe style ending here, and I think it's a very beautiful solution, and we'll also soon see how is actually the solution in the rear, that you can still very well use the car. There's not so much a big difference between the sedan and the estate anymore, loading wise. However, some prefer already the estate version just from design, if you look over there then. So see the roofline, if we move over to the estate, the roofline then kind of keeps the same here, and you see it especially in the difference here. That one falls down, this one rather remains the same. And then we also got the chrome frame with the Vignale version, and we got the LED lights front and the rear. This is all special with the Vignale, and another special feature with this top luxury version is the chrome frame around at the lower part as well. The lights, however, well, they are of course also a little bit different between the sedan and the estate version, and the whole rear is of course different. This one could also be kind of a van from the rear, so I definitely prefer the sedan as for styling, but what about you? We start by opening the hatch, and well, there is still the very classic hatch available. For example, the hybrid of the Mondeo is just available with a classic hatch that has a separate trunk, but I wouldn't go for that version because this is obviously the big advantage. You have a classic sedan on the outside, but on the inside you have kind of an estate opening, very wide opening as well. And I can stand under it with 1.86 m, and also see the rain is a little bit protected there. And really a lot of space you have here, and you can even flip the seats, and then you have even more loading space also lengthwise. So a very flexible car you see here, although you do not have the Estate yet. And it was the same actually with the Skoda Superb, where we also were discussing about Estate or normal sedan, and there the same actually happened, that you already got a lot of space here with the normal sedan, and well, the Mondeo, especially in the middle class segment, among with the Skoda Superb, are class leading here as it comes for the space here. So we now open the electric tailgate of the Vignale version, and doesn't have a Ford logo, it does then have a Vignale logo at the back side of the key. Otherwise the key 2 times pressing in here, and then it opens electronically. And there you see, okay, you have even more possibilities, and you have a lower loading still. This is very comfortable to load things in here. This is actually the main reason to go for the Estate. It makes you even more flexible, but again, the difference not that big anymore. By the way, there's a small space here, and in this case, you also got a replacement tire below there. I know some of you guys really appreciate that. Yeah, and then I can also flip one side of the seat. I can show you how that looks like in the Estate version. That's it, and there you see also a lot of possibilities here really. So if you go for the Estate, there are kind of no limits for your fantasy what to load. Let's step into the interior. First of all, the titanium trim level. It is one of the higher trim levels already. We have a microfiber or cloth mix with leather. Unfortunately, as far as I know, Ford really uses real leather on the outside. In general, this is always kind of a higher trim level with the Mondeo, and in comparison to the previous generation, the interior is cleaner now, as you can see, and they have worked on the material quality and about the cleanness of the interior. We especially see when we take a detailed look at the middle console. So far, now the first overview, quite a compact steering wheel, and the seats, especially the cloth sides, feels also quite good. And we already got with the titanium here those aluminum entry steps. Well, that's the cockpit, the interior. And we now got the Ford Sync 2. Unfortunately, as I said before, the car came relatively late to Europe because they had to restructure their manufacturing plans. Now it was built in Valencia in Spain for the European market. For the US market, of course, it's built over at the US then. And well, the basic overview, yes, it's cleaner than before, especially because we got the main stuff in here, GPS, phone, entertainment, radio and stuff, and climatization. However, the climatization is still available manually right here, for example. The material quality here is, let's say, solid, but not kind of premium alike. And the competitor, if I think about the Skoda Superb or Volkswagen Passat, in this case, so my competitor does lead the Mondeo. We'll have a big middle class comparison test coming up later this year as well. Then all of the competitors of this car will again be presented on Autogefühl, so look forward for that as well. The steering wheel in general, I like it very much because it's rather compact. Just what I was saying actually with the Ford Galaxy, I would get rid of some of the buttons here. It's a little bit too much buttons at the steering wheel. And the instruments, as you can see them, it's a mixture between analog at the outside and digital instruments for more information on the inside. I think, well, it's a quite good compromise because, you know, you don't disturb people who don't like digital instruments, and you don't disturb those who think the other way. So in this case, it's a mix. We have a bright ceiling here, by the way, that brings light into the interior, even if it's kind of gray outside right now. I would always go for this bright interior. And you can also pick two different colors of cloth seats. There are also black cloth seats available, and you can also pick bright cloth seats. And I would probably go for the bright ceiling and the bright cloth seats here, and then maybe a blue on the outside. That would be a great contrast actually, and you already got some, something special without going too high in the extra list. Storage spaces here on the inside of the doors, huge space, and Ford is known for that actually. Then the glove box sliding down smoothly, and well, not too much space here though, but it has two chambers inside. Then what was quite interesting, we got this handshake column right here, so that holds. Also can serve as a panic column here for the co-driver if you drive too fast. And 12-volt power supply is hidden there as well, and the storage space right down, and actually quite huge down there. So a lot of space, and they have used everything they got. Then beverage holders, they can be adjusted from the size and also from the height. We got this device here, and then you can put it in, that maybe if you don't fit smaller bottles inside. And then we got a split middle armrest with a lot of space here inside with USB support, and also another 12-volt power supply, and really a lot of space in there. And well, we haven't seen it with so many cars. Quite often it is that they don't have so much space down there then. So overall, I think the interior is actually also quite spacious. What is remarkable that the middle console is in general quite flat, that the screen kind of forms the whole flatness with the other buttons. However, quality-wise, the biggest flaw is kind of this cheap rubber surface at the volume. I would really like something else there, but maybe there will be a facelift in, let's say, 1 or 2 years. Maybe they'll pay attention more to this then. Then let's see how much space do we have in the sedan. There it is, and yeah, well, reasonable leg space. I got the seats as all tall people would be driving in the front. I'm 1m86, also scrubbers know. And headroom, we don't have any panoramic roof here. That's so much above my head, still okay. If there would be a panoramic roof, then maybe not that good for tall people here in the rear. But if you pick a sedan without the panoramic roof, absolutely no problem. So actually really good spacious feeling, and you also don't lay back towards that hard. So it's actually kind of upright, the seating position here. So as for offering the space here in the inside, very good rating for me for this Mondeo, even already for the sedan. And we got a new special seatbelt technology. You see, they look a bit clumsy, I would say, look very strange, but these ones are especially for children that are here in the rear, because when there's actually, a crash or hard braking, these kind of things here, they blow up a little bit, they fill with air, and then it's kind of a broader surface on the body, and all of the force that is created by the crash, for example, is then better divided onto the whole body. A very interesting and clever concept. Let's now move on to the interior of the Vignale version, and well, Ford is going kind of the same way that, for example, Citroën DS is doing, that Infiniti is investing, and Hyundai wants to invest with Genesis. They all go for their own premium brands, kinda. And you see, this is the full animal skin equipment. I'm not a fan of it, because that is something that is luxury definition from yesterday. However, the look of it is actually quite good, and you could easily do that with faux leather. Also at the inside of the doors, easily could be done with maybe microfiber or faux leather. The styling, however, with a comp structure on the seat, I like that very much, and it also kind of feels comfortable when you sit on it, I can tell you quite soon. But again, the surfaces, wrong choice. However, you can also see it on the dashboard. You can get actually also luxury Ford, that is no problem, they can do that. But then again, you have to pay a higher price, as I said, this version here about 41,000 euros, but then it's already combined also with bigger engines. Well, the seats, they are comfortable in general, but I must say, if I have the direct comparison now to the other seats from titanium equipment, also with the material mix, Also from the seat form, I think the other ones felt more comfortable. I think, well, they have a little bit more side support, but the other ones offered you a more spacious feeling, and overall it was, well, just felt better to me personally, but maybe you have also experienced with that when you maybe tested that one at the dealer. The other differences here in the interior, we also got leather on the dashboard, and well, kind of uses for the material, but it's nice that we have that here with the contrast stitching and the same scheme as we have seen in the front grille with the kind of golden color, let's say it that way. This adds a contrast here, but does it look very price-worthy? I'm not so sure. So from my first impression, I cannot really recommend you to go for this version because the other one already looks kind of good, and I wouldn't pay so much extra price just to have these changes. However, we do have the panoramic roof that you can also get for the non-Vignale versions. In the front, that doesn't matter so much as for the headspace. It brings light into the interior. That's very important. And when I turn on the ignition, I can also open that one. That's right here. And then we let some rain inside. But I wanted to show you how it opens. And you see, there a little bit more maybe. Yeah, that's kind of it. So it doesn't open too much. We've also seen it better. For example, with the Skoda Superb, that one opens way longer. And of course, you can also use, when I close it now, a shade when it gets too sunny. Then it's also possible to put the shade above that. And yeah, fitting to that one, it's also in a bright color. For this kind of weather, I would bear 2 steps. And there we have it all closed. However, that we have more light now, I still would open it. Very loud sound, by the way, don't you think so? Now I'm kind of surprised. What is it with the headroom here? Well, we do have the estate version, but we have the panoramic roof. And there you see, well, it does work with my 1m86. 190 would not work anymore. So it's about the panoramic roof, and that shows us the combination really sedan and panoramic roof won't work with really tall people in the rear. However, now with the estate version, that does work then. So really, estate version is for you if you're traveling with tall people in the rear all the time and you want the panoramic roof at the same time. Other than that, as I said before, the sedan, oh, that's a Ford Mustang sound. If you want to see a Ford Mustang review, that's of course always available with Autogefühl as well. It is also linked in the video description. Yeah, very spacious feeling here again in the rear, but the sedan, as I said, was already quite good. So if you would go for the sedan or the estate version, the station wagon, put me that one in the comments, and I think, well, I would stick with the sedan. Beneath the hood there has been some recent changes. For example, the Mondeo is now also available with a 1-liter displacement EcoBoost engine, 125 horsepower. For example, it's also used in the Ford EcoSport. We also got a review of that one, also linked in the video description. And it's actually quite amazing, but it does work also for such a huge car. Here in this case, with the Vignale version, we got the top diesel, 240 horsepower, the new diesel with 2 turbos, and well, it's kind of one of the strongest engines we have here, and combined here also with a dual clutch automatic gearbox. So in general, you get for petrol engines 1 liter, 1.5 liter, 2 liter, and a diesel just the 2-liter version, but then in different horsepower variants. And that is also about the all-wheel drive, because the all-wheel drive versions is available with a 2-liter diesel with 150 and 180 horsepower. Here, 150 horsepower combined with manual gearbox. You can also get the 180 horsepower diesel with all-wheel drive. Then also you can pick the dual clutch transmission called Ford PowerShift. You cannot get the all-wheel drive with that fella because this one is a 240 horsepower diesel. I'm not sure why they did that. It's not sure if it had any technical reason, because usually you often do that kind of stuff. Okay, like top trim level, all-wheel drive, automated gearbox, you know, that makes sense. But why only offer the all-wheel drive for these 2 specific engines? I don't know, but we're going to test it. Let's start this diesel here, and especially in the rain. I'll put on the air conditioning, and I think it's very good that we test the all-wheel drive in the rain, because in the rain we obviously could have problems with slippery roads, and that is also the realm then of the all-wheel drive model. And well, I would usually prefer the automatic gearbox, but here with the 150 horsepower diesel, that is not possible. And I soon can tell you if the 150 horsepower diesel is enough, or if you should rather go for the 180 horsepower one, and then you can also pick the automatic gearbox. By the way, if you want to have Holger's perspective on the Ford Mondeo, for Europe it's still the new model, for the US it's not. However, Holger's perspective is also available in the review, and that one is again linked in the video description. So if you enjoyed this episode here with us, you can enjoy so much more with Autogefühl, be it Ford or other brands. So let's see if we accelerate a little bit harder here already. Diesel is not that loud, actually sounds kind of evolved. The shifting process here, actually not with much resistance, feels kind of smooth. However, here with the armrest, I'm not sure when I put my arm like very close to my body, then the armrest is a little bit annoying. I really have to lay my elbow onto the armrest, then it's working better with the shifting. Second gear, third gear. If I compare it now to competitors, for example, the Superb or the Passat, there the shifting is a little bit smoother, I think. Then sound insulation, they did work on that one, I think at a good level. Of course, it's now rainy outside, so when it's rainy outside, it's always louder inside the car as well. But generally, I'm driving 70 kilometers an hour now. I think I'm feeling quite satisfied with that one. Ford is kind of famous here for the heated windscreens, and at least in Germany, 70% of all customers pick this option. Very good in winter when you don't have a basement garage. And however, I usually have problems a little bit with the visibility, because when you look against a gray sky, you do see those very fine lines in the windscreen. I'm a little bit annoyed by that, but maybe you have made other experience with that one. However, it's still a very practical feature. When you're driving the new Ford Mondeo here now, what do you feel in comparison to the predecessor version? Because I think it was about a year or so that I've driven the predecessor version in a very late stage. It already felt like a quite good car. This one here feels a little bit more agile now, definitely, because also the steering wheel commands are transported quite well. It does feel actually sporty, not only looks sportier, it also feels sportier. So this is definitely on the positive side already of the car. Among the mid-size segment, it is definitely not a short car, rather a long one, and with a way over 4.80 meters. And well, you don't feel it directly. We're driving the sedan right now. The driving feeling between sedan and the Estate is not really much different. Maybe just from the sound a little bit, because in the Estate you have more room than there in the rear. Maybe that's a little difference, but the driving characteristics, they are totally the same. Diesel 150 horsepower so far. When I have city driving and countryside driving, I don't miss any power at all. For this car, actually it does work very well. And do you need the 180 horsepower version really for the power? I think not for the power, just if you really want to go for the all-wheel drive. Maybe we can show you some tests when I'm going, let's say, second gear. Let's do second gear maybe from 30 to 60, then you can see how powerful the car is here now from the engine. So 30 and starting now. 60, yeah, I think that's quite reasonable. And due to the torque of the diesel engine, that also works in the higher gears. By the way, I've talked to the Ford officials. They really say we want to keep with the diesel. Diesel is very important, especially for Europe. And other Japanese manufacturers saying, okay, maybe the time for the diesel is over. Toyota, for example, is building only one diesel anymore, and they want to stop doing that because they're also very engaged in the hybrid strategy. Also, other Japanese manufacturers want to go for other energy concepts as well. But Ford still says, okay, the diesel does have a future, especially with us, especially with our European, also especially with our German customers. And when you drive this rather modern diesel here now, you can partially understand it because it really feels very good here with this car. In the combination, you don't feel like, oh, I'm just driving a diesel, it's a boring engine and it sounds awkward. No, it's actually a very evolved engine, and I'm totally satisfied with it actually. Although I generally am also in favor with the petrol engine or even electric drives. The A-pillar is actually quite huge, I think, for the car. I'm also sitting relatively near to it. That is maybe one disturbing fact. And if I take a look at the infotainment system, also what sound, the warning beepers it makes, not the most modern visual display still in the Ford Swing 2, because you have to think about this car is already kind of from 2012, as it was first released in the US there. There you also didn't have the most modern GPS system. So I hope they will soon deliver a facelift, maybe in 1 or 2 years, and then introduce the Ford Sync 3 then with an even modern update for the infotainment, because people definitely demand that nowadays. Let's maybe test the Ford in the roundabout here. What about the driving dynamics? And does the car deliver a good feeling? Yeah, definitely. So it's really fun to drive the car. And one thing about most of the Fords is really, you get inside the car, you start driving, and you are immediately used to the car. You don't have to, learn anything. You feel at home. And I think they have really figured out that well. And that is because they make everything kind of solid, not too high classy, but then you also don't have to get used to the functions itself. Maybe the Ford Thing 2, which is definitely not my favorite infotainment system, but everything else, also the information I see in the instruments, that's kind of very clear to me, and also from a whole driving characteristics. So the strange thing is, for example, a very interesting fact, there was a survey, I think 1 or 2 years ago, that people who are involved in political parties in Germany, either working for a political party or are kind of regular voters of that, the more are you engaged in politics, the more Ford drivers were among that. And that had the reason because Ford, at least in Germany, has the most neutral image, not, doesn't have this, oh, we had such a very sporty, extremely powerful brand, but again, then also doesn't have any negative image. And so this neutral image, obviously, then kind of makes you disguise on the road, and I think it's a very interesting aspect. However, with the new Ford Mondeo, you have a great exterior here, and I'm also satisfied with the driving. So, would I recommend this one here in the mid-size segment? Yeah, I think I can definitely recommend it. However, there are of course other very good cars in the mid-size segment. So we've recently driven the premium ones, for example, Mercedes C-Class, just to name the Jaguar XE. Well, as for the interior quality level, if you compare the Mondeo to the Jaguar XE, the XE is not better, definitely not. The C-Class is of course more premium-like, has this very design, cool interior, and of course even more driving dynamics. But then again, you will end up with all the extras, pay really a lot more. Maybe, if you think of a different terminal, partially double the price in the premium segment. But soon, look out for that. As I've told you, we'll compare the Volkswagen Passat, Skoda Superb and the Mazda 6. Then we can take more insight even into the non-premium segment of the mid-size ones. And we already have single reviews of the Volkswagen Passat and the Skoda Superb. You can check those ones out so far. Now I will all link them in the video description, and if I should forget some of those, then just leave me a comment below and I'll repeat it, of course. Yeah, maybe you feel that I'm still quite comfortable in the Mondeo, and I think it's also a good long-term travel car. Especially those seats here we have in the setup here, and this equipment are very suitable for me, and I can just confirm that I prefer them over the Vignale seats. I feel a little bit too caged in for them, and I think the main task for the Mondeo is not that it's the most sporty car, but that it's really a solid sedan, which is kind of easy to use, comfortable at the same time, good for the long-term comfort. and I think this is definitely fulfilled here. I heard some of my colleagues saying, some of the automotive journalists, that they were a little bit disappointed, especially from driving in the new Ford Mondeo, especially into the predecessor version. Well, I cannot really share that. There hasn't been maybe too much changes to the previous generation, but the main reason for that is that even before it was already a quite good car, and a car, when you ask, okay, what car shall I buy, you could always kind of recommend. Testing the turning circle here now. It's of course not too small. Now the rear view camera, well, not the best resolution here as well, but we cannot really see much of it now due to the rain. Yeah, and we almost forgot to talk about the all-wheel drive. But even if I accelerate hard now, no rear spin, no front spin at all. Usually the Ford Mondeo would be front-wheel drive. And well, do you really need the all-wheel drive? Maybe it does make a difference if you accelerate very hard when it's very slippery. But it's mainly for those maybe living in the Alps region where you have a lot of snow and something like that. Then the all-wheel drive will definitely pay off for you. Or maybe out to our friends in the US, when you have certain regions there with a lot of bad weather, then of course the all-wheel drive. But for all others, it's not really necessary. But of course, always nice to have. Vignale or titanium, station wagon or the saloon. Which one would you actually go for? I would go for the saloon, blue exterior and bright cloth interior with the titanium trim level still, because I think the saloon is already very well usable from the trunk. They have found a very good solution there. You can still get the very classic one with a separate trunk, but I wouldn't recommend that one, because here you can combine actually both a great look and still, of course, a great usability. Maybe just bigger rims, because these ones are a little bit too slim for the car. In general, a very good using of the space on the inside. You have a lot of space on all of the 4 seats, and also, as we mentioned, in a lowering compartment, so they've done a very good job there. Interior quality is basically on a very solid level. However, around the infotainment screen, knobs could be updated, and also the infotainments in the Ford Civic 2, I'm not really a biggest fan of it. I would expect a facelift in this kind of respect. The driving, good suspension, actually quite a cozy, comfortable feeling. It's not the most sporty car, definitely not, but a kind of direct steering. So in general, for this mid-size segment, definitely a good pick, and I'm very excited to go for the other competitors in the segment quite soon again, and then we can compare it even there to these other ones. But definitely a very competitive car, and I also want to hear your opinion on for your new Ford Mondeo, and on the, let's say, for our US friends, current Ford Mondeo. And looking forward to your comments, different versions, different colors, and also from the different engines. The all-wheel drive now available as well. It's important to some customers, not to all. Maybe exactly also right for you. So I hope you liked our small range overview here with the different version. And I see you at the next Autogefühl episode with Thomas. Thank you for watching. Bye.